On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. You know, it's funny, when I was younger, I had this moment where I was leaving the house and I remembered something. I was like, oh crap, I forgot to get something I was supposed to grab. So I went back inside and I was thinking to myself, it's a good thing I remembered I forgot something. And I thought that was the funniest damn thing I'd ever said in my life, or at least thought in my life. It's a good thing I remembered I forgot something. Did I actually forget something if I actually remembered, right? So I thought it was funny. And I wrote it down at the time, thinking it was hilarious. And here, I feel like we have a similar situation. Elon Musk's like, did I forget to quit Doge? I just saw a news article saying 3 people close to me let me know that I was supposed to quit Doge by now. And I wonder how this thing works. I don't know if some of this is to teach the news agencies like Politico, Axios, some of the worst, right? If it's to teach them a lesson, if they're intentionally releasing jacked up leaks because they're trying to figure out who the leakers are, I kind of lean in that direction. Or, are they just messing with people? Because they know Axios and Politico, their whole audience is going to just overwhelmingly just blow a load, finding out that Musk's going to step down from Doge. Maybe they'd stop burning Teslas, though that's entirely unlikely. And actually, because this is domestic terrorism, they would likely see it and further their aims at doing it more. We'll talk about this whole Doge quitting thing. Got a lot of other information that we're going to get into, and I think it's a great show. In fact, very good show. We're going to start off, of course, today's Liberation Day. Liberation bastard, or damn it, I think it was Liberation damn it. That's what Mealy say with the chainsaw guy in Argentina. It's his big old libertad, damn it, which I think is freedom, actually, is what it translates into, but it's so similar to liberty in my mind that, it works. We're Americans. We can just pretend it means something different than it actually does. But I think it's freedom, damn it, is what he keeps saying. But libertad, liberty, liberation, it's all similar. Freedom is much the same. Liberation, you're liberated. Today's Liberation Day. A lot of people talking about what crazy stuff was going to happen today. I found that to be one of the funniest damn things I honestly think, of the entire thing that we've been going through with this whole Q posts going all the way back to all that nonsense, right? And which it's not nonsense. It's beautiful stuff. It's helpful. I still look at it too. I'm not trying to downplay Q. I think Q is super important. I feel like it's way over the top right now as far as every time anybody says 17, right? They're like, oh, in the Q post from the time of day he said it. And it's like, okay, maybe, probably, sure, whatever. But we're liberating ourselves from a few things. Control, yes, and also from our own minds. Many of us believed government had our backs. Like, that's a big step. Many of us believed, JFK situation was done with a single magical bullet shot by a single magical individual. One might even wonder if he was a leprechaun. We're finding out a lot of things. And as this progression happens, people are going to realize the level and depth to which lies have happened in our lives. And I do not, unfortunately, say this lightly, because I know it's very difficult for people, but there are no depths that I've been able to find yet that are not touched by this very same thing. These people have been controlling us for millennia. Many millennia. We are liberating this planet from the control and darkness that has controlled this planet forever. 1,000 years of light or whatever. But these times are upon us. And we are learning. So Liberation Day here is, of course, more in reference to economics. A lot of people jumping down the hole. And Trump was pretty specific about what was going to happen today. Many, many times. Very specific. Tariffs today. Big thing. Now, the markets are going to react and stuff, probably, but they were reasonably tame when I looked earlier. We'll find out when we get to my Goldco commercial that you know is coming, right? Beautiful times. Need to get a way out. Be smart. But here is Maria Bartiromo. Maria, I'm not sure what's going on with the hair. I don't know what's going on with this, sweetheart. Beautiful lady. Come on. What's going on? I'm just kidding. I don't really care. This is a pretty big day, and it's going to help the smaller and medium-sized businesses a lot. And so that is something that we can rejoice. Where in the hell? Oh, I guess it's right here.
Well, Maria, this is an exciting day, Liberation Day. This is the single greatest salvation for not just small businesses, but for America. This country was traveling down an unsustainable path, and President Trump has been the only president that has had backbone to stand up to our allies and adversaries alike and say, we have to level the playing field. This is unfair. You're no longer going to take advantage of us. And man, I would not bet against America right now, because what's happening is you see investment coming in. You see $4 trillion in investment already in President Trump's first 2 months. You see trading partners coming to the table wanting to renegotiate. This is what it's about. It's about restoring fairness and opportunity to this nation, from small businesses to workers to our investments. And that's what this is about. And President Trump understands that.
Yeah, the world's changing. And it was totally a douchey thing of me to say, by the way. Her hair looks lovely. I was just being a dick. I thought it was funny. And a lot of times I say things that I think are funny that just aren't funny. Yeah, that happens. But rather than edit it out, I'd rather just expose my stupidness to you all. It makes it easier because I'm going to do it in public. It's bound to happen. So let's set the sights lower. All right, bring them down a notch. Let's keep it real. This is cool. Donald Trump just, again, talking about libertad. Damn it. Not his words, but certainly Trump talking his words on liberty.
President Trump pushing ahead with his America First agenda.
Breaking news, Apple announced it's going to work with Foxconn to build a server factory in Texas by 2026.
The company says it is now planning to invest $500 billion in the U.S. economy.
The CEO of SoftBank pledging to invest $100 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years.
This is President Trump delivering on the promise he made to the American people on the campaign trail.
The idea is come to America, build greatness in America, build for the American customers.
Project Stargate. It's a joint venture between SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI, and they're going to create a data center that will eventually be expanded to other states.
Shows people are listening to Mr. Trump's pitch to bring new industry to America.
This is the latest pledge from a foreign business leader promising to spend big in the U.S. as a result of Trump's election victory.
Founder of the property development company DeMac Properties is pledging the money.
President Trump announcing $100 billion investment from Taiwan Semiconductor, bringing the company's total American investments to $165 billion.
The most powerful AI chips in the world will be made right here in America.
Things happen so quickly in the Trump world, right? It's 100 days. Right. It feels like it's 100 months. This is leadership. This is taking control of the problem for military, for everything, for industrial, for our economy. Even if it causes short-term pain, the reality is it is the right decision.
NVIDIA says it will invest hundreds of billions of dollars over the next 4 years, part of the manufacturing renaissance under President Donald J. Trump.
Furniture maker Prepack are shifting their operations from Canada to North Carolina.
Johnson & Johnson says it will invest more than $55 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years.
Hyundai announced a $20 billion investment.
With your leadership, Mr. President, Hyundai Motor Group is proud to be a stronger partner in America's industrial future.
This is the automobile industry, and now those plants largely have stopped and they're moving them to our country. Honda is building one of the biggest plants.
The trade story is certainly picking up speed here and pushing more countries to make these bigger investments.
It's another example of the Trump effect.
GE Aerospace announcing a nearly $1 billion investment into American manufacturing.
Eli Lilly announcing plans to expand its manufacturing here in the United States.
$27 billion additional spend, bringing our total to more than $50 billion.
The money's rolling in, and this is in the past 60 some odd days, Charles.
And these are deep-pocketed folks who want to have a relationship, and it's just smart moves.
We are CMA CGM, one of the leaders in shipping and logistics around the world. Today, we are investing $20 billion.
Foreign leaders from around the world, investors from Silicon Valley to Wall Street to Main Street have confidence again in our economy and our markets and in President Trump.
The Trump effect this morning, a string of massive wins for American manufacturing. The numbers speak for themselves. Wisconsin-based Clarios is putting up $6 billion to expand its American operation. And what's driving these decisions? Well, President Trump's aggressive Made in America policies and his commitment to bringing industry back to American soil. This is exactly what Trump promised. America First is back.
That's so freaking cool. That reminded me too. I was like paying some bills this morning, first of the month as always. And there was one point where I stopped. It was an accident too. Like in the middle of, it was like my first name even. writing my name, signing it. I stopped for whatever reason. I don't know if I had to move it because I was on the ledge or something strange. It was something stupid, right? And then I fucked that signature up so bad. I don't even know what to I told you guys before. I don't know how Trump does it. He stops and they'll just have a conversation and then he just goes right back to signing it. I can't do that. Can't. My signature is just a mess. It's a mess, folks. Conflicted person is what it is. Hakeem Jeffries said this isn't Liberation Day. I love how they're basically... I'm not going to play 2 minutes of Hakeem Jeffries. Christ. First off, that's like 25 seconds of normal person speaking. But he says it's not Liberation Day. It's a recession day in the United States of America. There's no need for 2 minutes to get to that. Recession day. They're voting against the success. They may hate the president and happily say that out loud, fine. But always at least wish the country well. I hope this works and I'm just wrong because otherwise this is insanity. But no, it's recession day. It's totally not going to be. Now, I will say the deep state controls a lot of the reporting tools. Dow Jones and all that nonsense, okay? All the market crap. The reporting is definitely controlled by the deep state. So understand this can go for so long, but a few months at best, before eventually it's going to come home to roost. That's unquestionable as far as that goes. Here's Pete Hegseth playing ball with his peeps. I love that last catch, that last throw. He is so good for morale. This dude is so, rather than Lloyd Austin walking around with this little mask on, everywhere he goes, assuming that's what happens when I was going to make a really mean comment about his health, but that's like wishing that upon myself. I'm not going to do that. No, thank you. Kid Rock playing a very famous piano. I think playing one of his tunes. It sounds familiar to one of his tunes. I was going to dig deeper, but I'm like, I don't really care that much. But I like Kid Rock. I like his music a lot, and I've got a number of his albums. It sounded familiar to me. You guys put it in the comments. Which song is this? I know I could have looked it up. There's no fun in that. Like, again, people ask AI questions. It's like, well, AI told me this. It's like, yeah, but did you ask any real people? No. All right, whatever. Whatever, it's cool. I'm the weird one. I know. Is it only God knows why, or it's one of those? And to me, it feels like this is something he does in concert, like a long intro or something. Maybe I don't know. I got a bunch of his albums, but I haven't I haven't gotten much deeper. I've never been to one of his concerts. I don't go to concerts anymore, especially now. It's redonkulous. Though I think Trump did sign an executive order on that yesterday. We talked about it. This is just frickin' hilarious. Dana White was cited scouting Maxine Waters for UFC contract. I think there was some even joking in there, even from Dana. But Las Vegas, UFC president Dana White has set his sights on an unexpected new fighter. 86-year-old Congresswoman Maxine Waters weighing in, and we didn't dare ask her. After her fiery rhetoric calling on confrontation and getting more aggressive in political protests caught his attention, White, never one to shy away from a spectacle, reportedly called Waters the kind of scrappy brawler the octagon needs during a press conference where he also unveiled a new UFC weight class, senior lightweights. Bam. Can't wait to watch her in the octagon. Not going to happen, but funny as hell. And doesn't she kind of have a man face? What is it? Is it just as we age, our heads get bigger and the rest of our body shrinks? Or is that more like evil is doing this? And like eventually we'll know exactly who the evil people are because there'll be this overwhelmingly large head and then this just teeny little like munchkin body. That might be it. We'll see. But I don't know what's going on. But that is a giant ass head on a teeny ass body. Even with shoulder pads, that head looks huge. Dana White, giant head. Bam. Freaking huge. I'd like to put Bongino next to that head. That would be the ultimate test for me. Love Bongino. Just saying. He's got a giant head, my friend. And like they say, people with giant heads, of course, they wear big hats. Congressional staffer was arrested for carrying a pistol. This is a very interesting situation. This, by the way, is one of the people of our boy. Oh crap! I'm drawing Cory Booker. This was one of his peeps. One of his, and I'm not saying it was Cory Booker that walked him in, but somebody took an individual, brought him into the Capitol building, walked them around the metal detectors, did a special thing to be able to do that. And this individual was cruising around, walking around all day with a gun on him. He's ex-cop and all this nonsense, but he's got a gun on him in a place you're not allowed to have guns. Whether you have a concealed carry permit or not, you cannot have one in this building. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are, unless you're Secret Service, unless you're Capitol Police, but not if you're Joe Schmo from Kokomo, regardless of your accreditations. Wonderful, congrats. But you're not allowed to have it. He was found with this firearm because he was admitting he had one. Instantly got arrested. Can't do that. Cory Booker staffer arrested. Now, what's funny is Cory Booker was the one that was doing this marathon chit-chat. He went just barely over 24 hours, which good on you, Cory Booker. That's impressive. I actually wanted to send a joke to one of my good friends because that was kind of the thing, is I could talk forever about nothing. But I wanted to send the link to the story and just be like, even I couldn't do this. This is impressive. And he would have laughed because I can talk forever about nothing. It's like my superpower. We established that at my workforce. 24 hours he spent time. And many are wondering, what was there a timing? Was something supposed to was there another target? Why? It seems strange that there's a weird direct connection to somebody that was doing a very awkward thing and their own staff member getting arrested for carrying a firearm. Now, many were wondering, and this was Tory says saying this, is he filibustering because the staffer was supposed to be part of an event happening at the floor? His staffer was arrested for bringing a weapon to Capitol grounds. What was the plan? Could it be a plan with all those former employees and federal employees organizing on Slack and Signal? See, what we're kind of finding out, it seems, is that they were trying to put some stuff together, and it might have been thwarted in a few different ways. And I almost wonder if it's why he finally quit, because he realized that someone probably gave him word, because there was a couple places where he broke and let others continue talking while he was able to eat and stuff like that. Probably go to the bathroom. I'm assuming that happened. You just can't exactly be up on the Capitol and just be like behind the podium continuing to talk, peeing into a Gatorade bottle that was empty. That's probably not okay. Florida had a couple good big wins. Randy Fine made it. Florida 6. He is confirmed. Jimmy Patronis as well on Florida section or sector 7. What do they call it? District 1? Whatever the hell this is. They're in 01. In 01. Yeah, this guy won. Jimmy Patronis. Good stuff. Good job. Oh, really? You guys suck. The Hill. I'm going to have to stop using The Hill with this thing. This is stupid. Because if you walk away from their site for 4 seconds, then they put this stupid, press and hold, you are not a bot bullshit. Really? You're going to make me... Liberal candidate wins Wisconsin Supreme Court race, by the way. So the judge that we are trying to keep from winning, she won. Kind of like almost overwhelmingly, but it's sort of weird because they're also reporting that they ran out of ballot paper, because there was such a huge turnout, yet this chick overwhelmingly won. Kind of interesting. What's also fun, we'll get to it. I think I got a couple stories coming up after this, but Milwaukee polling places, running out of ballots. And here is the judge that was running against her. This is a conservative guy, basically talking right after. He didn't say anything too outlandish that I remember, but at least we'll get his words.
Us now live, Wisconsin Supreme Court candidate Brad Schimmel is with us. What is at stake here besides redistricting?
You know, there are many cases that are going to come before our Supreme Court that deal with the balance of power between the legislature and the executive branch and the courts. And many of our election integrity laws are going to end up in front of this court. And we could see the rules our legislatures put in place in recent years to try to protect that election integrity get struck down by this activist court.
Yeah. All right. So so if you get on the court, you believe in the Constitution. You know, I don't know why there's resistance to voter ID, signature verification, updated voter rolls, chain of custody, mail-in ballots, why you don't have partisan observers watching the voting all day and the vote counting all night. That seems like common sense to me if you want integrity in the system, no?
Yes, and over 75% of Wisconsinites agree with all of that. My opponent was the attorney that went after when she was in private practice. She sued to try to take down our voter ID law. She called it draconian. She compared it to a poll tax. All those things are what we're pushing out to voters so they understand what's at stake in this election.
All right, we're going to be watching real closely. Mr. Schimmel, thank you. Brad, thank you for...
Yeah. Again, fortunately, this is kind of the weird thing, the vote passed. Dems have a 21% approval rating, and the voter ID constitutional amendment passes. Like, huge. Like, and it passed by a larger volume than initially required. I mean, well, it's just huge, by a 20% margin. I guess that's what I was trying to say. By a 20% margin, this voter ID law passed. And yet somehow the conservative judge didn't win. I mean, again, I'm sure maybe a number of people that are Democrats are even like, nah, I think you should show an ID to vote. Like, you should be a citizen. Which is cool, if that's true, right? Like, hoping to be wrong. In which case, whatever happens, or whatever is in this number, because they only maybe were worried about cheating the particular vote rather than necessarily, and I'm not saying they did cheat, but they could have. Maybe they were more worried about just getting the individual in rather than making all the other numbers match. In which case, you're now, quote unquote, in office, and this is what your overall constituents said. Regardless of how liberal you are, well, most of your people didn't vote. They voted to have ID be shown. Overwhelmingly, in fact. 60%, in fact. That's almost 2/3. It's impressive. So, yeah, we've got a bit of a problem for the incoming individual that might very well have stolen the seat, but maybe can't do a whole lot that they wanted to do because, again, the votes have spoken. So we might, I don't know, we'll see. Something does seem fishy. Yes, for sure, unquestionable. Second, though, we might have almost gone too big to rig because of the way that vote played out. So we'll see. We'll keep tabs on it. And you Wisconsinites that you should be making a lot of noise about that. It's your guys' ballpark or ball game. Or once in a generation storm is bringing historic rainfall and flooding. And then most likely right after it's done flooding, it'll somehow catch fire. You watch. And I pray and bless and put light around this just entire great nation right now, frankly, because we are being attacked. Not by any country, but by the deep state. I get to a point down here with this they stuff. Who killed JFK? They did. The deep state. Everybody wants a specific thing to blame. Well, it was the Mossad. It was the CIA. It was the mobsters. It was this president. It was that president. No, you're just finding out who all they are. That's it. All right, you guys can shut the show down because that's all that was going to be. Yeah, you get the point. We have to understand the bigger picture. We have to understand we're at war. There's war happening. Marjorie Taylor Greene calling out the craziness of Luna. Yeah, and I finally remembered the douchehole's name I forgot yesterday. Massey, bastard. Right now, Luna, you're in the same shithole as Massey as far as I'm concerned. And we'll make it even worse because we've got your Democrat colleague that's with you that makes you look, I'm sorry, Luna, I get you're a mom. I agree with what Marjorie Taylor Greene said. It's what I said yesterday, and it made me feel good, too, that somebody else that's a mother, not some idiot like me, agreeing with what I said yesterday. There's just moments where I'm happy being kind of correct, I guess.
It's not serving the American What we just voted on, this rule, Luna's bill, is extremely unfortunate. You know, being in Congress is a privilege. You don't have to be here. And there's plenty of people in her district that could serve in Congress if she chose for time to be home and be a mother. I'm very much against the bill that she's trying to force to the floor and the way she's going about it, and I think it's wrong. And it's really going to open up the door to proxy voting, which is already unconstitutional, and we shouldn't be doing it. And I think members of Congress need to basically leave their egos at the door and realize that this is an important job. In the same way that soldiers go off and they're deployed overseas, they come home and actually meet their babies for the first time, and their babies are several months old. Members of Congress don't have to be here. They don't have to be here. Being a member of Congress is a privilege. You're serving your district. There's lots of seasons of life. I'm a mother. I've raised 3 children. And when my children were babies and were young, I prioritized them in that season of life. Now I serve in Congress because I'm not raising children. And I think that's a really important point to make. And if any member of Congress, for any reason whatsoever, finds them in a situation where they're not able to do the job here, the important job we're elected to do, they should step down because someone else can serve in their place. They're not required to be here. They're not more important than anyone. They're not more important than people in their district. And they shouldn't go across the aisle and work with Democrats while Democrats use a baby propped up around the floor trying to prove their point. But instead, they're holding a baby proving the point you can be a mother and serve in Congress. So I think today, I think this is unfortunate, and it's distracting, and it's off message, and it's not the agenda. It's not serving the American people.
So this is another individual, and I'm starting to think the Freedom Caucus, because again, remember, the names of things are almost always an indication that something's not right. And so this is 2 key members of the Freedom Caucus, of which there's 20, I think, something to that effect. 2 of them, 1/10? No. Yes, 1/10 of them so far have been people that are causing more problems than necessarily trying to solve, and have sometimes just ended up in the way. And so one's got to wonder, freedom against us? Because they don't seem to be on our team, it seems. Again, here, Margaret Taylor Greene, she's mom, pointing it out. Here's Democrat. I don't know which Congress retard this is, but she's got her baby with her. I'm surprised she's not literally nursing the child right there. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So GOP House leaders cancel votes for the rest of the week. They're just like, after this internal revolt that Luna was behind. I used to like her. I don't. Sorry. This is pretty big. Again, I go by actions. I don't give a shit what you did yesterday. What are you doing today? Because every day we all need to be putting our best foot forward. And if you're putting crap forward after you did a whole bunch of good stuff, but now you're going to put something stupid forward, yeah, I'm gonna beat you up on the stupid thing. Because it doesn't matter. There's certain things that are way more important, and setting up a proxy vote, we know that's going to be taken advantage of. We know it will. That's using motherhood as an excuse, too. Oh, it's insane. No, I've lost respect for that young lady. All right, we got a bunch of stuff in here. That's what I'm calling it. Canada says they're going to remove all tariffs from the U.S. if they do so. Let's sit down and discuss this. We'd be willing to take those off tomorrow if he looks at takes all the tariffs off. Well, we're not going to take them off first, Canada. Guess who's going to blink first in this game of chicken? I trust that. Now, again, the words, I'm not going to play the whole thing. Minute 48, who cares what Canada thinks? No offense. You're 50. When you become the 51st state, I'll care a lot more. Right now, go punch a moose. We'd be willing to take those off tomorrow if he took all the tariffs off. So what, we go first, Canada, and then you follow? How about this? How about you take all yours off, and we already told you ours are reciprocal anyways. We'll just remove them at that point. Trump's been pretty good about showing his cards. Now you show us yours. I don't give a shit what you're saying. We're not stopping the tariffs until you stop the tariffs. Whenever you get around to it, Canadian, Sig Heil, whatever. This was a brutal. I tried to watch some of this. I love this dude. What's his name? It's got a funny name. But this guy, oh my God, this dude's 4 seconds from death. It was brutal. I might play a small amount just so you can tell me I'm a dick. True, it might be Maria's making fun of her hair. I mean, who knows? Might be the whole show. It might be just sprinkled in here, like moments where you're like, Dan, what's wrong with you? And I don't know. Maybe I'm grumpy. Don't know. Israel's canceling all tariffs on U.S. products. They know they want to make a deal. See, that's how you do it, Canada. Follow Israel's lead. All right, let's just for a second. Watch. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
By product, by country, because that will encourage bad behavior. What could work would be if you selected the...
You tell me. Maybe I'm 50-50 right now. Maybe I'm not so much a dick. Maria, maybe it wasn't the best hairdo.
On the tariffs that you're planning.
Turn this nonsense off. Oh, that was a different video altogether. That might be good, but we can't just sit here and watch videos and to find out. Gold sitting up right now, which is pretty cool. 31.39 was the high it hit, but we're sitting at 31.18 for the bid price. That's actually really good considering how much it's gone up in a short while. 33.65 for silver. It was sitting around 27s, high 27s, kind of solidly for a little while. It's gone up and down a little bit, but yeah, that's a pretty solid jump. Yeah, things are happening, folks, in a big way. Platinum and rhodium, and I almost want to get a rhodium coin. Just, I don't know, but man, they're expensive as hell. Like, I'd have to seriously save up to buy a coin. That'd be crazy. And all that said, if you've got a 401k or an IRA, I highly recommend you think about getting out of the system right now. I don't want to spend a huge amount of time on it, but this is the thing. I've got a company that can help you do it. Goldco, they're awesome. They're amazing. Best customer service you're ever going to get. Up to 10% free silver, which is got to multiply, especially once paper contracts go. I'm not going to explain them all right now. I've talked a bunch about them. But go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get your free coin if you qualify too. Up to 10% free silver. I said it. This is a half-ounce silver coin. 4 data points. All you got to do. And then in there, you get the highest price buyback guarantee with my great friends. You've also got the best customer service you will ever experience. They are 5-star rated. They are everything, and they got a 10% instant match in bonus silver. You can't go wrong with this stuff. Go to drslikesgold.com. drslikesgold.com. Get out of that 401k. Get out of that IRA. Tax-free, penalty-free. Also, if you've got some cash sitting in the bank and you're like, I should get some precious metals because, oh my God, the prices are going through the roof. This might be a good idea to take a little bit of money and get it to also be safe. It's been working incredibly well. You can just buy precious metals. You don't even have to have a 401k or an IRA. You want a $5,000, and there's no minimum, by the way, but you know, if you want just a couple $100, I don't know, there's probably places close to your house you can run down and see what sort of coins they have and crap like that. Like, you know, hit a swap, not a swap market, but what those places, pawn shop, hit it like a pawn shop close to you or something like that. Yeah, but if you got like a couple thousand or whatever, it makes more sense for more people that way. But yeah, same 4 data points. Just say, I want to invest in some gold and silver. It's a good thing. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that system before they get out of you. All right, so Elon says they know who's paying and organizing all this stuff going on at the Tesla facilities. And this is where I was like, oh, him quitting, this might be true. Sure might be true.
I mean, really, this is fundamentally a case of terrorism. It's wide-scale domestic terrorism with the purpose of intimidation, and it's harming innocent people. It's really terrible. And I think what we actually have to get to are the people who are organizing and paying for these attacks and protests. That's who we really need to go after, because the people who are actually throwing the Molotov cocktails, they are the foot soldiers. Right. But we need to go after the generals, and we're going to do so. The president has made it very clear that we're going to go after those that are paying and organizing these violent attacks. And Attorney General Bondi has said the same thing. I believe that is exactly what will happen.
Do you know who they are?
We're coming for them.
Do you know who those generals are?
We know. We do.
Yes. And hopefully the prosecution will be for RICO and an organized criminal enterprise, which makes the penalties even more serious.
That's a great point that Judge Janine brings up there. Again, with the RICO, if it's racketeering and criminal conspiracy type stuff, dude, you're done. You're done, home diggity dog. And if you don't talk and spill, which most of these little players, think about it. Think about how many of these like players on the street, none of these dudes are going to do some major time. They're going to all give up what they know. Now, if they don't know anything useful, you're going to do 20 years probably. Oh, well, but if you know something useful, we'll see. Elon Musk dramatically steps down from Doge, in a shock move after Trump expressed private doubts. Huh? What, Daily Mail? Where did you get that information? Well, the Tesla and SpaceX founder will soon be returning to the business world, Politico reported. Oh, Politico, let's look at this story. President Donald Trump has told his inner circle, including members of his cabinet, that Elon Musk will be stepping back in coming weeks from his current role as governing partner, ubiquitous cheerleader, and Washington hatchet man. Nobody's telling us who this is, but people close to Trump are revealing this. But many, and they said it up there somewhere too, but many close to Trump are increasingly relieved that Musk is expected to soon move on from his central role. Oh, well, I'm going to miss him. I get it. He's been firebombed and attacked and all that stuff. These domestic terrorists, they're winning, I guess. They must be. Oh, wait, hang on. No. Press Secretary Leavitt says the news about Elon Musk stepping back from Doge is garbage. This scoop is garbage. Elon Musk and President Trump have both publicly stated that Elon will depart from public service as a special government employee when his incredible work at Doge is complete, calling the story a bunch of poop. Yeah, they both publicly stated this, so it seems to not be true. Trump admin acknowledges administrative error in deporting Maryland man in El Salvador prison. One dude, by the way. One dude. Now, here's what's funny. So they acknowledged there was an administrative error. But that doesn't... So what's funny is, just to kind of give it a little spin, I guess, try. The administrative error the deep state's using in their news terms as a means of poo-pooing the entire operation. What Carolyn Leavitt's kind enough to point out to us is there was an administrative error, yes, but it had nothing to do with the facts of the case. And that might actually matter much, much more, many would say.
Just changing subjects for 1 second. The administration has expressed a complete confidence in how all the deportation flights to El Salvador were conducted. But now that the administration has conceded that there was an error of one Salvadoran national, will there be any reviews conducted? And does the president express any thoughts on the one error that was disclosed in court last night?
Well, first of all, the error that you are referring to was a clerical error. It was an administrative error. The administration maintains the position that this individual who was deported to El Salvador and will not be returning to our country was a member of the brutal and vicious MS-13 gang. That is fact number one. Fact number two, we also have credible intelligence proving that this individual was involved in human trafficking. And fact number three, this individual was a member, actually a leader of the brutal MS-13 gang, which this president has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Fact number four is that foreign terrorists do not have legal protections in the United States of America anymore. And it is within the president's executive authority and power to deport these heinous individuals from American communities. It is a promise he campaigned on. It is a promise he is keeping. And every single person in this room should be grateful for that, considering especially MS-13 is very prevalent and prominent here in the District of Columbia, in Maryland, and in Virginia. And the president, the attorney general, everyone who has been involved in these operations is focused on eradicating these criminals and terrorists from our communities.
The vice president said he was a convicted member of MS-13. What evidence is there to back that up?
There's a lot of evidence, and the Department of Homeland Security and ICE have that evidence, and I saw it this morning.
And let me just say, I'm not going to tell you, neener. That would have been cool as hell if that's actually what was said. I mean, she's like, neener. I'm not going to tell you nothing. Let's see. U.S. judge orders Trump administration to restore legal aid to unaccompanied migrant children. It's kind of an interesting, weird story. So there's supposedly a subcontractor group is suing. They say they have 26,000 children that have no families. 11 subcontractors, sorry, let's be specific, of the 26,000 children without parents that are working with these 11 subcontractors that had enough money to put together a lawsuit like this, lickety-split, and get it up into San Francisco. Isn't that interesting? These 26,000 children, that's what we're worried about. They're not going to get their money. They're not going to get their support. They're not going to get... I mean, again, I could think of a bunch of ways we need to send these kids back. First off, where'd they come from? They're unaccompanied? All right, well, let's send them back. The government can take them back in their country. We don't need to own these children. You kidding me? They came here. They don't know anybody. What the fuck, man? These kids' lives are already messed up in so many ways. Anyway, let's go ahead and just finish that last final step of jacking them all up and get them back to their homelands, and hopefully their families are there and be like, there's your kid back, and staple a $100 bill to their shirt or something cool. I don't know. Be cool about it. That's fine. I'm groovy. But those groups argued that the government has an obligation under this 2008 anti-trafficking law to provide vulnerable children with legal counsel. Oh, there are even lawsuits. Law people. That's so much better. So we legally have to give counsel to people here illegally. Oh my God, it just gets better and better. The mess we're in, but it's getting better. That's the beautiful part. Okay, America First Legal's got another awesome bit here. It's about 15 posts, I think. I think it's worth the time. So the left is lying about the Alien Enemies Act, and this is where a lot of stuff's going to come into play. So this is important, I think, for us to understand this better, and I think America First Legal did a brilliant job really spelling this out for people like me, anyways, I'll tell you that. The president has absolute authority to remove enemy aliens and has for over 200 years. Arguments about due process, removal orders, and vetting are irrelevant. Here's the truth the left doesn't want you to know. Nearly 75 years ago, the Supreme Court clearly explained that the president acts at the height of his authority when acting under the express authorization of Congress or pursuant to his constitutional authority. It's all spelled out in there. The Supreme Court affirmed that when the president exercises a core Article 2 power, it, quote, disables the Congress from acting upon the subject, end quote. And the courts, or quote, the courts have no power to control the president's discretion, end quote. Courts have no power to control the president's discretion when he's acting within his guidelines as a president. The invocation of the Alien Enemies Act is such a case. Congress delegated to the president plenary authority to remove any alien from an invading or hostile nation. Again, spelled out. There is a difference between the Alien Enemies Act and the Immigration and Nationality Act. These are two different sources of authority for the president to remove people from the United States. They don't work together. They're two totally separate tools. It's probably the best way to look at it. Two separate different tools that the president has available to kick people the F out of this country. One of them is the Immigration and Nationality Act, which is what the news media keeps trying to make this. And the other, totally separate tool, is the Alien Enemy Act. Further, the limitations of the INA, the Immigration Nationality Act, do not apply to the AEA. They don't apply to each other. They're separate, totally separate things. So they continue. Recall the use of Title 42 during the COVID-19 pandemic. This allowed the government to rapidly expel illegal border crossers because of the public health concerns. Those people were not put into immigration proceedings under Title 8 because Title 42 provided the way to do that, the removal. Similar to Title 42's grant of discretion to declare a public health emergency with the AEA, Congress delegated complete discretion to the executive branch to determine when enemy aliens pose a public safety risk and empowered the president to remove them immediately. Title 42 and the AEA are separate and independent authorities from the Immigration and Nationality Act codified in the Title 8 of our laws. What does this mean? Well, it means this. Due process arguments are irrelevant. Deportation orders are irrelevant. I lost the rest of it. Where'd it go? That wasn't very nice. That was very mean. Deportation orders are irrelevant. Being vetted is irrelevant. And temporary protective status is irrelevant. All the arguments they're making in the news, by the way. Pay attention to their words. This is all the stuff they're saying. So the big question is why? Why is this all irrelevant? Because none of the normal immigration laws apply to AEA removals. Under the AEA, the only question is if the alien is from the invading country. If they are, the statute says they can be removed. The AEA vests the exclusive authority in the president to make this determination. In this case, President Trump limited his invocation of the statute to the members of Tren de Aragua, even though he could have declared, and still has the power to declare, that any Venezuelan could be removed under the AEA. Though it's good that he's not doing it that way, because it's more... you're using a scalpel to cut something out rather than, a chainsaw. Just to go back to Milei. So he continues, but the president's determination of who is a member of Tren de Aragua is not reviewable. Law enforcement and national security are, quote, core executive functions, end quote. And Congress has given explicit authorization. Courts have no power to control the president's discretion. Some have argued that those removed are entitled to due process or were fully lawfully admitted or already vetted. These arguments are false. The courts have spoken with unmistakable clarity. Those removed under the AEA are not entitled to any due process of law. It's stated in there. Vance has already displayed the fallacy of this already vetted argument. He did this quite a while ago. We played it way back then. But continuously shuts down CBS's News' Margaret Brennan as she kept arguing in favor of illegal immigration. He's like, no. They talked about this one example, and he's like, look, this guy wasn't vetted. You're saying you're saying they are, but this individual wasn't. How many of these individuals aren't? Even if we play just 1%, there's millions of people in here. That means thousands of these people need to be removed ASAP. So most of these aliens were not lawfully admitted. They were allowed to enter illegally by the Biden administration, which lets 11 million illegal aliens enter through catch and release and historic abuses of the parole authority. I explain that in here. It's actually not bad, but again, for sake of brevity, we're trying to. But even if those arguments were true, it still wouldn't matter because those due process arguments apply to Immigration and Nationality Act removals. They do not apply to Alien Enemies Act. So all of that was kind of built up for a good point, which is cool. Doesn't matter. Alien Enemies Act, you don't have any say. There's no, but they have legal blah, blah, blah. No. Well, they have a family here. Doesn't matter. They're criminals. They've been established as such. They're gone. Don't give a shit. You want the family to go with them so they stay together? What's your thoughts? Go ahead. Point it out. Tell me. Quick. Happy to send them all back with them. We'll throw them on the same airplane. They can fly together. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. We're at a tough time right now, guys. World's changing. And it's just time to stop with the bullshit, I think. New Jersey-based federal judge on Tuesday declined the Trump administration's request to transfer pro-Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil's immigration detention challenge to Louisiana, where he's currently in jail. The judge is very pissed about all this. Michael Farbiers, I don't know, whatever. I'm going to make some judgments in my mind about that last name. Can't say it. That's a problem. But he is saying no. This, when you first arrested him, when this case was first called, this is where he was then at that time. But that's not like where the crime was committed. That's not where the thing, I don't know. This is just weird. So it's a judge that's, I think, stepping outside of his authority, but whatever. It's happening. This was very powerful when Newt Gingrich said this. A great way to stop all this judicial overreach. He's got it nailed down in a minute 13. Check it out.
Well, I think if you look at the recent reports from various polling firms, clearly a majority of Americans believe that no single district judge should be allowed to issue a nationwide injunction. And I think that when you look, my judgment as a historian, this is clearly a judicial coup d'etat. You don't have this many different judges issuing this many different nationwide injunctions, all of them coming from the same political ideological background. and just assume it's all random efforts of justice. This is a clear effort to stop the scale of change that President Trump represents. And I agree, a lot of this stuff can be fought out. Some of it should be fought out in the Congress, but it shouldn't be micromanaging the executive branch on national security issues by random single judges who have no standing, they have no particular knowledge, they haven't been in the room, they don't know what the consequences of what they're doing are, and they put both Americans and the nation at risk when they intervene to become basically alternative presidents. You now have potentially 677 alternative presidents, none of whom won an election.
And that was never how the founders intended it, and we know that. And the Supreme Court knows that. And again, I don't know why John Roberts is being such a pussy, but maybe, many would say you are what you eat, but I doubt it in that case, unless it's adolescent, illegally. Who knows? It's disgusting. Shifty Schiff has announced he would be placing hold on the nomination of Edward Martin to be the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. He does not like this dude. Says in every way he can, Ed Martin has demolished the firewalls between the White House and his own office within the Department of Justice. And pot kettle, man, it's so fucking awesome. Confirming him to serve permanently in his role, he has already abused in his interim capacity would cross the prosecutorial Rubicon that every single senator would come to regret, and that would threaten the rights of Americans from all walks of life. He knows he's in serious trouble. For the past 9 weeks, Ed Martin has consistently undermined the independence and abused the power of the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C., openly threatening and intimidating political opponents, dismissing charges against his own clients, firing public servants for their roles in legitimate investigations, and using his office as a cudgel to chill dissent and free speech. This dude's literally sitting on I forget what he's, the justice, the judicial, the branch, the whatever the group is that he's a part of, his little team of whatever's Department of Justice. They've been, I don't know, I can't find it in here. I thought it was in here. I'm like trying to find it and talk at the same time, which are very difficult to do. I have a hard enough time talking without trying to read shit at the same time. But that said, yeah, failed. But he is part of that committee. There it is in here, maybe. Judiciary, there it is, Senate Judiciary Committee. Fudge. That thing. So he's in that committee for a reason. Remember, he moved from House to Senate because he was on the January 6th committee, and we all know that there's problems around that. So what's he going to do? He's going to go to the Senate to block stuff as a last-ditch effort. And it's not that he chose this. It's not that Shifty Schiff Pencil Neck Man is capable of these kinds of thoughts. No. This was people above him. Put him in this place, and then made sure he won the election, and then now here we are, right? Nobody's surprised. This is the deep state at work. Please know who the enemy is. Now, the gentleman is running for the District of Columbia, U.S. attorneys for the District of Columbia, just because it's fun. What is the actual jurisdiction of that? That is United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. They're responsible for representing the federal government in the United States District Court for the District of Columbia. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia has two divisions, the Civil Division and the Criminal Division. The Civil Division is responsible for representing federal agencies in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, and it's in appeals before the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia. Unlike the states, the District of Columbia is under exclusive jurisdiction of these guys. You see, if you control that person, you control a lot of things. And Schiff is one of the last members to try to stop that. Now, will we get the votes we need anyways? We'll see. I don't know. But that's something we're going to keep tabs on. California has doled out nearly $18 million in taxpayer funding to the left-wing Tides Center. Gavin Newsom's been a big part of this wonderful experience. Thank you, Gavin. Once again, just jab it in. Don't even say anything. Thanks to the dark money behemoth that operates, a lot of the money is going to, the Golden State Spending Database shows that 18 agencies, ranging from health departments to workplace regulators, sent payments to the George Soros-backed nonprofit. This is why these guys, the WEF, right? That's why they go to the World Economic Forum, and then they find ways to tie money from their state governments into them. And they get favors for doing that, or bad stuff doesn't come out, or whatever. It's how the game's been played. Soros is just the face of this. He's not actually the mastermind behind it. Everybody needs to understand none of the masterminds are public. Zero of them. Zero. Because the second anybody tried to name any one of them, they would immediately end up dead. Guarantee. Nobody knows the names of the people that are actually in charge, or whatever they are. They're probably long-headed. Civil rights groups, including the NAACP, have filed a federal lawsuit on Tuesday challenging President Trump's efforts to overhaul the election system. They don't like the fact that we want to make it mandatory to have IDs. In fact, I love their wording. It's funny as hell to me. The executive order, which Trump signed on March 25th, requires stricter voting regulations in federal elections, including showing proof of citizenship when registering to vote. The American Civil Liberties Union is among the groups representing the plaintiffs in this complaint. Quote, "We know that providing documentation in general tends to fall more heavily on people who are already having so many obstacles thrown in their lives at them. These are real barriers for populations that unfortunately intersect very much with voters of color." What they're saying is these are people that are illegal and already have a hard enough time. And those barriers are exactly similar to the same ones that black people who are here legally face. So therefore, this is why we should have this argument. This is a ridiculously stupid argument. And this is where they're at, frankly, which I think is also funny. And yeah, sure, call me a racist. Sure. U.S. judge blocks Trump administration from firing federal employees on probation. Apparently in government probation's a year. I've never worked at a place where it was that long, but that's awesome. Cool. Wow. That must be rad. Because, yeah, normal places, it's 90 days. Yeah, you're still there in 90 days. You have zero rights. You better be a good person. Yeah, but Judge James Bretter, he's in Baltimore, Maryland. Go figure, right? So, yeah. Anyway, whatever. He's like, I think saying you can't fire them, which is funny as hell. That's obviously illegal. And then I don't know if he's the DC. He's not the DC court. So whoever ends up as that shift thing is a big deal. It's a big deal. Whoever ends up in charge of that area is going to affect a lot of things, especially considering when you bring in the capital letters version of our government and corporation and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, a lot going on. Basically saying you have to hire these people back, I think he said too. Just ridiculous shit, whatever. I'm sure they're going to drag their feet out and possibly not do it or just be like, yeah, no, sorry. Congressman Tim Burchett predicts Doge discoveries will lead to the resignation fever in Washington. I think a moving fever, too. The housing prices are going to die in Washington because a lot of people are going to move the F out.
How did we end up where we are?
Well, that's an excellent question. And when you see people here in Tennessee paying 50% of their income to state, federal, and local taxes through through everything else, fees and everything else, and then they see us sending literally billions overseas to our enemies. I've uncovered $40 million going to the Taliban. A guy named Sean Ryan over Middle Tennessee, former Navy SEAL, podcaster. He and another guy named Legend had brought this to my attention. And, last term, I could not even get the Democrats to bring it up in the Senate. It passed unanimous in the House, not even a question, because they're going to have to admit they made a mistake. And they've continuously made a mistake, and they did it on purpose is the worst part about it. And this graph that you're seeing, and that's 100% what it is. Yeah. I think you're going to see a paper trail come back to Washington, D.C., and that's why I think a lot of people are nervous, and you'll see a lot of retirements because they are stealing from the American taxpayer, and now they've got their hand caught in the cookie jar, and all they can do is attack Elon Musk.
Oh, shit. And I actually think they're going to – that was not good. I actually think they're going to be let's not do that twice. I actually think they're going to be they're sort of going to offer up, I think, some people ways out. And so not everybody is going to get called out or get corrupt. Like, I honestly think we're using the blackmail against them. I don't think there's any question at all about that. And so we've gotten a hold of Epstein's list. That's the news. People keep talking about people keep saying, well, it needs to be released. And Pam Bondi said she would, and she's probably going to do everything she can to do that. But there's a lot of factors that go into that, and that's the way it is. But what's more important that people keep forgetting is we have the list, which means we can go to those people and be like, so here's the thing. They've got this on you. We've got options, because eventually this list is going to come out in the public. And either A, you're redacted, or B, you're not. What would you like to do? That's what it is right now. You know, like it, don't like it, honestly don't care. I mean, no, I don't mean that in a bad way, but I don't. Because it doesn't matter. They don't give a shit what we think in regards to this. There's so many people that this would cover if they just released it. There'd be no way. Government would shut down. It would be a constitutional crisis. And for a lot of people, it's like, that's what we need. It's like, not really. That's total chaos and pandemonium. That's actually really bad. If we can pretend it's not as bad as it is, but actually fix the problem nonetheless, and I mean that with asterisks all over the place, like we don't necessarily find out everything. We find out enough to not lose total trust in our government, but at the same time, they're shrinking it. They're firing people. Certain people are getting busted for criminals. Some of the big names that we need, right? Like, there's a lot of requirements that are in there. The requiem are covered. Trust me. These meetings that are had, we're covering the important people. Things are happening, folks. They just are. Yeah, we did that. Elon Musk cost-cutting teams finalizing the dismantling of the U.S. Agency for International Development. Also, that's USAID, and also the USIP. Done. Both these guys are it's it. It's curtains. It's official. It's being done with the appropriate, like, here's the official statement to Congress 30 days before and all that kind of crap. Nothing they can do. It's written in stone. He's following it exactly. There's probably going to be somebody that tries to stop it, but that ain't going to work. I really don't know where to put that. I made a mistake of moving something because I wanted to show it during the commercial, and I'm just causing myself problems. All of you should be smiling because I deserve it. This was funny as hell. Very funny. Someone asked some stupid questions, and this dude just calls her out. I forget, what's his name? I don't know what his name is. You might know.
I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude,
wow.
sad.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
Okay, sir, you shouldn't have said that on.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh my God, we got that on tape. It's like, yep, you, yeah, go ahead. Did you ever show your face? If you ever show your face on your channel, we all know you look like a clown. And so they're going to agree and ratio you. It'll be fun. Acting NOAA Noah his head was removed. No, the head of Noah was removed. That's in fact, so the many hydras we talk about, they just popped the head off of one of them. Chief of staff in charge, sources are saying, of course, but I think when these people get fired, they leak it. So I think this is legit. NOAA's chief of staff, Laura Grimm, is now the agency acting administrator after the Commerce Department on Tuesday removed Nancy Han back to her career position. They probably legally couldn't fire her for whatever crazy reasons, but they could move her wherever they wanted, and they did. She lost her sweet little awesome place. Yeah, so all said, she was overseeing the agency through a lot. Han is being brought in to obviously do the important stuff, which is firing people, and she probably is likely much better at it, frankly. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot more in here. I think there's a little discussions around whether or not Grimm was a good person. The last name would imply to me no. I find it hilarious. I don't know if you guys have noticed this too, how some of the names of certain people are just perfectly fitted for what they're doing. Like Grimm. She's at NOAA trying to tell everybody that the sky's falling, and her last name's Grimm. I mean, come on. Can you make this up? That's when you almost are like, some of these things have to be on purpose, right? This is like when they say it's a movie, it's like, it's actually on purpose. It's got to be. The last name's Grimm. Come on. Maybe it's spelled differently, but whatever. RFK Jr. supposedly exiles top federal health leaders, including Fauci replacement. Oh, this isn't the supposed thing. Sorry. This is legit. He's firing some more people. Pretty awesome. Let's see. Senior leaders at multiple agencies were removed. Multiple health officials. Dr. Jen. Oh, that's right. There was a fake story. I'll see if I can remember it, but it doesn't matter. Including Dr. Jean Marazzo. Dr. Jean Marazzo. So I don't even know how to do a heavy Z. They replaced Dr. Anthony Fauci as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. Yada, yada. Let's see. Who else is here? Center of Disease Control and Prevention senior officials put on leave and resigned to the Indian Health Service include Dr. Karen Hacker, head of the agency's chronic disease teams, Kayla Laserson, head of its Global Health Center, and Dr. Jonathan Merman, director of the CDC's STD and HIV/AIDS Center. Oh, now this one, if you think of Fauci's background, this guy, I'm not going to say anything. You guys, anybody that well, I don't say not knows. I mean, there might be people out there that know, but any of you guys that are familiar at least with some of the stuff Fauci was involved with when he first got involved with CDC, yeah, the AIDS thing's a big deal. So my guess is Dr. Jonathan Merman was very well chosen for Fauci, or by Fauci. I can't wait till this information comes out, people. I can't wait. Trump administration's giving thousands of federal workers a second chance to walk away. It's basically saying, look, take the deal or you're going to get fired. Department of Labor Secretary Lori Chavez de announced on Monday that her department will return over $1 billion in unused COVID-era funding, so giving some money back. $1 billion, not bad. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell effectively allowed the transfer of the headquarters building of the United States Institute of Peace, the USIP. He's handing it over to the GSA. So that's, in fact, they're saying Doge is probably going to maybe move into it, which is funny. But whatever. That's kind of cool. That's symbolic in many ways. What we got here? GOP legislators introduce a bill to repeal gun control rules on the pistol braces. Here's the thing. If it's legally something, because the ATF made a rule, which is not constitutional, right? They can't do that. And then now we're going to have Congress pass a law that says you can have them, but if the Constitution basically states under the Bill of Rights that I have a right to this, and that's what everybody makes the argument for, the Second Amendment, then who cares that Congress is passing a law? So where does this one fall? It's one of the questions I have. The pistol brace thing's kind of a funny thing, right? Because I don't believe ATF certainly can make rules. Okay, that's for sure. But then, I mean, if it's not granted to the government, then it's already given to us, and this is just part of owning a weapon, and, you know, it's like having a stock on a weapon. You can make a pistol more like a rifle. All right, so you're allowed to get rifles too, so who gives a shit? That really doesn't matter. Shouldn't, right? If rifles were illegal, now like making fully auto, all right, we can have an argument. I still think we should probably be able to do that, but all right, let's make that argument. Now that makes your weapon more like a military weapon, I guess, right? Whatever. It's a stupid argument still, but I'm just saying that one makes more sense to me than the extraordinarily stupid argument of it makes it more like a rifle. All right, so what? Rifles are perfectly legal, and pistols. It's a pistol rifle. It's a rifle. It's a who cares? Fuck off. That's what it comes down to. Waltz supposedly used Gmail for official work. He sent his schedule. He made a Gmail meeting, and then he passed some other stuff that was not government sensitive or anything. But we've got Axios telling us, yeah, and he's using his Gmail. We know your guys' people had fake accounts that they used so they could mail actual classified shit back to themselves and others in other countries. Really, Axios? Really? Every time I share a story like this, I'm just going to call out how horrible you are. I'm going to use it as an opportunity to remind people that you are a horrible source of information. And 95% of the time, I don't share anything you put out, ever. Ever. More than that, probably. I love it. It makes me feel good every time I do it. You know what? Oh, I should turn that on. You know what else makes me feel good every time I do it? What doesn't make me? I don't feel it. Well, the nitric oxide stuff, I feel that. That stuff's awesome. Healthy Home. I love these guys. First off, Heal Thy Home, Healthy Home. Kind of a fun little play on words, but yeah, it's all the same thing. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Girlfriend was noticing it. It's funny. She ran out of the collagen one. And she's crazy because there's only 15 in a box. I think that's what throws me, because the other thing she takes was like 30. So it's just weird. I feel like she's always hitting me up for collagen. It's like she's a collagen junkie, man. I feel like she's scratching her neck in the corner somewhere. I'll do BJ's for collagen. I don't know. It's like, honey, sure. I mean, yeah, I've got some upstairs, but to walk up there, it'll cost you. You never know what you got to do. But Stem Active's amazing. I've noticed it just in my shoulder specifically with me, but I'm hearing it from a whole bunch of other people in their joints. And they're noticing it with just soreness. And really what stem cells are, it's not putting stem cells in your body. Let's just cut that one off right from the get-go, because those usually are, way more expensive. They also come from fetuses, which is pretty disgusting. So it's a lot of bad things going on when you're just getting stem cells shoved into you. What this does is actually get your body to produce more of the thing it's already producing. Stem cells are cells that are basically androgynous. They can become whatever is needed. You got a part of your body that's injured, and you got skin that's injured, and now all of a sudden you need some skin cells. That's how skin regrows, right? So stem cells run in, they become skin cells. Or maybe your heart's injured from some reason. Something broke your heart. Same thing happens. Not really true in that case, but the same thing could happen with muscles. You torn a muscle, screwed up a joint, like me. Dislocated shoulder for me, and it just makes a huge difference. When I work out, I don't feel it. I've been able to do my regular normal workout. I've actually gone up even 10 pounds on my weight recently, and I'm still nothing new. And I've actually this is like the highest weight I've been at for at least for the upper bench. That was the one where I really felt it. The pull down one's not so bad, but that elevated bench, oh man. And I went up 10 more pounds on both arms. So it's not like free weights. I don't want to kill myself. But Stem Active has been a huge part of that. They've got a gel. It's even a little bit cheaper, by the way, which I feel kind of weird about. I'm almost wondering if I should switch, but I don't mind the pills. Pills aren't that big. Some people say they're giant. I don't know, whatever. Stem Active Gel, though, is a little bit less expensive, doing the same thing, and it's liquid, so it's fantastic. It's actually going to help with all those processes. Balance is supposed to help when you're going through the change, essentially. And I've read about it before. I don't know anything about it at all. It's plant-based. It helps your body. It's not hormone replacement. It's none of those bad things. And everything this company makes, Healthy Home, is super cool, super high quality. This is something I would highly recommend. If you're going through that change, though, of course you're not. I mean, no one's doing that. So whatever, you just get hot for no reason and then stop being hot for any reason and just cry for no reason. I mean, these things happen. This happens to everybody. Best of us get beat up by that stuff. All right, so collagen one. Love this is the one I got to hide from my girlfriend when she comes over. She's a junkie. Collagen junkie. She loves that one. She really does. And it's actually helped a lot. She's got this thing on her face, and I don't know. It actually looks better. I don't know. Looks better. I think she still fudges with it a little bit. It bugs me a little. Whatever the case is, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. This is the oxide activator. Can't say it. It's awesome to take, though. Speeds things up a little bit. It feels like it really just more energy. I feel like more oxygen's traveling. I do it before I work out. I notice it, I think, for hours. I haven't even... Sometimes I take up one of the focuses, but today I didn't. And yeah, I don't know what it is. Energy. It's happening. It's happening, folks. And then Stem Active. This is for pets. I highly recommend the danradiostyle.petclub247.com. If you got pets that you want kind of long-term longevity, like, I want to be able to try to make sure that they have anti-parasitic type stuff in their bodies or those types of things, highly recommend that. But when it comes to Stem Active, this is I think if your pet has had a surgery or an injury, or maybe it's got, something's going on where it just needs more stem cells because it's got to grow more hair. Sometimes they have mange or whatever. I don't know if it's not going to fix those things, but it's going to help the body repair itself. It's powerful. Stem Active is a very powerful product. So highly recommend it, that everybody consider these things. And I got to drink some water. Stem Active's not helping my throat. No. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. Just incredible products that are going to bring health into your life and make it a forefront option. And for a lot of us, healthy living, it's about healthy thinking. What's healthy thinking do? You do things like that. You create health in your environment, in your life. So good stuff going on. Federal judge dismisses Mayor Eric Adams' corruption case. I was very curious where that one was going to play out. And the judge let it go. So that's fantastic. That means he can run without obstruction. Now, whether or not he wins is totally up in the air, but it's not like an impossibility that's going to be fought in the courts forever to come. New York's going to release prisoners in droves after a prison strike. Yeah, a prison strike. So they're just going to go ahead and dump a bunch of prisoners out on the streets, even ones that are potentially violent sex felons and stuff. Yeah. Just, because we got a strike. So, yeah, what else we're going to do? I don't know. Hire some scabs. That's what always happens when there's a strike. Get some people in there. Get some people to volunteer from other places. I don't know. Do something else other than dump a bunch of criminals out on the street, especially in New York, where you guys got a serious crime problem. One can wonder why, I guess, when these are the decisions you continue to make. And I've heard the theories put out, and I'm not against them. I'd love to see it happen, frankly, but of maybe the New Jersey governor and or Kathy Hochul from New York possibly being some of the first arrests. Again, we've talked about the first arrests will set the pace. That Q post will matter. I don't know. I doubt very much it's going to be the day of, but that Q post will matter, and it will set the pace. So we'll see where that goes, when that happens, all that nonsense, but it's coming. Let's see. Salt Lake City is removing a bunch of murals that were memorializing George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and others. I don't know. It's like they're just put up against a bunch of housing that apparently is being taken down. Well, so that's these are the types of things that I think between this and what's happening, releasing a bunch of prisoners, this, I think, is the attempt to start the riots that we expect to see this summer. So all of that stuff is building. There's definite movement happening that would definitely validate that's the direction that they're going to go. We'll see how it all plays out. I think we can still stop them to a large extent. So don't worry. The future is a long ways away in that case. A lot's going to happen between now and then. And we have a lot more power than they do. So we'll be okay. That's why we do this day to day, shoulder to shoulder. Hunter Biden's going to be permanently stripped of his ability to practice lies, getting disbarred in D.C., which is very interesting. Just again, understand D.C. is not even a real state. It's the corporation for the entity, the United States of America, giant capital letters. D.C. is an interesting thing. And being disbarred there, and likely directly tied to the crown and all that nonsense, which again is that maritime, and I don't want to get into all that shit. Like, it's just, it hurts my head first off, and it's kind of over my head a little bit, and I don't, like lawyers, I know a few. I've got family members that are lawyers. I love lawyers, don't get me wrong. It's just not something I'm into, and so therefore I have not dug into it a lot. There's a lot of people out there that talk law. Those are the people you should follow and watch when it comes to that kind of crap. Not me. Freaking dislike. I'm like that guy that's like, what's a good, well, ruin the joke with the punchline in front, but what's a good start, dropping a bunch of lawyers at the bottom of the ocean is what they say, but it's actually, they say it the other way. Barack Obama has reportedly advocated against Democrats nominating Vice President Kamala Harris. He definitely did not like Joe Biden. This is coming out in a book. Who knows if it's true? I normally wouldn't trust it if they were saying bad shit about Trump, right? So it does seem like that's probably true based off of what we've heard from a number of sources, but meh. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell's statement on force postures update. This dude's sending another aircraft carrier. He's directed the H.S. Truman Carrier Strike Group to remain in the U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, area of responsibility in support of regional deterrence and force protection efforts following completion of the scheduled exercises in the Indo-Pacific region. And the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group will arrive in CENTCOM for promoting regional stability and deter aggressions as well. So that's like, wow, we're moving some stuff into CENTCOM. And I was like, well, what else is CENTCOM? Because I was wondering, because we just sent 5, I think, maybe 6, but I believe it was 5, B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia. And I'm like, I know Diego Garcia is essentially south of India, but I don't know if that's part of CENTCOM. So I was like, all right, what's CENTCOM? So areas of responsibility, Middle East, that kind of shows over there by, it's Saudi Arabia and all that stuff. I'm like, well, that's India's off to the right of that. That's not what we want, or east. And then we've got Egypt, obviously, but we got Central Asia. Well, that's like inland. That's certainly, I mean, it's above India. Maybe a reason to have stuff, but not a good answer. But then South Asia. Well, that includes India. Well, isn't that interesting? India. Now, where is Diego Garcia? Now, it's funny, and I wanted to pull this up. I just didn't have time. It would have taken some time, and it's fun as hell. But my X-Plane game, it'll let you land here. I do it all the time. I want to say the runway's like here, I think is where it's at, where this naval support facility is, but they don't show it on this Google map. Whatever. But Diego Garcia, where is this? We're going to scroll out from Diego Garcia. All right? We're going to find out, one, how friggity far away it is from everything. Boom. Now, when Iran said, hey, man, we could do a surprise attack on you from Iran, way up here, down to Diego Garcia, way the F down here. That is a hysterical concept to even throw out there. Hysterical. First off, the range. They would need to get refueled probably twice. Probably at least on the way out, halfway. So you're going to have a whole shit ton of stuff just floating around out here. Refuelability. So your strike aircraft, however many of them there are, can make it all the way to Diego Garcia to deliver their munitions and then once again return back to refueling Bravo, or whatever we call it, and then make it all the way back to Iran. No way in hell. Not a chance in hell. And there's floating stories out there, and legitimate people are talking about, well, what's going to happen is Iran's going to do an attack on Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is way the fuck down here. They're not attacking from here, and even if they attacked from over here, it's still a long flight. There's no way. End of story. And it's one of the hardest places to get to and very, very protected. I'm sure the island itself has all sorts of crazy shit on it, but satellite-wise, come on, there's no way you're getting anything near it. Bipartisan groups of senators readies new sanctions on Russia. They're actually putting some legal nonsense together, 500% tariff on imports from countries that buy Russian oil. This is really, I don't know, again, I think this is meant to help make Trump look like he pulled this off. We'll see. Putin envoy visits Washington for talks in the first time since 2022, which is awesome. There is discussions about how the Kiev regime is not, they're attacking the infrastructure of energy and stuff. They're literally attacking targets they're not supposed to within the treaty, which means they're breaking the treaty. And Trump's like, dude, or I mean, the Putin essentially is like, dude, but in Russian, he's saying that. And yeah, fix this, please. Like we want a ceasefire, but these little effers are not very good at ceasing their firing. No. Israel Defense Forces launched a major ground offensive Wednesday in the southern Gaza city of Rafah as it expands its campaign to dismantle Hamas. We'll see. Suspect was also captured on surveillance. This is just a weird thing. Dude walks into Walgreens, and like points a gun at the camera and says a bunch of stuff you can't hear because the cameras don't have audio apparently, or at least what they shared doesn't. And then he shot somebody inside the store. Pharmacist didn't know him, pissed off about drugs prices and drug prices. I don't know. I wonder if it's supposed to make it look like it's somebody on the right that's like pissed off at the government, but whatever the case was, the dude's not a sane looking guy, that's for sure. But yeah, he ends up shooting somebody. Not cool. Nashville police released their final report on the Covenant School massacre. This was that transgender individual, Audrey Hale, left behind numerous notebooks, art books, and computer documents about her plans to commit the attack and gain notoriety, partly inspired by the Columbine school shooting in 1999. What's really funny about this, and I don't mean that in a, like this is funny, but very ironic, is Hale, the 28-year-old attacker and biological female, began fantasizing about and researching mass shootings as far back as 2017, according to the investigator. A year later, she wrote detailed fantasies about shooting up the Isaac T. Cresswell Middle Magnet School for Arts. But this is the part that's striking to me. She fantasized about killing her father and killing her psychiatrist. And she became a killer. Why would she not like her psychiatrist? That seems so strange. Wouldn't you hope she'd like her psychiatrist? The fact that she doesn't like her father, well, that's possible. I think she was a she, biologically, that wanted to become a male. Probably because the dad either A, molested her, likely, 2, wished she was a son, never thought she was good enough or whatever, probably created a whole slew of problems around that. And yet, here we are. And then she ends up with a shrink that's probably MK Ultra or whatever the equivalent is nowadays. So this is Oliver Stone asking the committee to reopen what Warren Commission failed miserably to complete. I actually think this is some weak sauce, weak shit, so skip ahead if you want. I do think it's really stupid, but I'm going to share it because I think a lot of people probably think this is good, I guess.
I asked the committee to reopen what the Warren Commission failed miserably to complete. I ask you in good faith, outside all political considerations, to reinvestigate the assassination of this President Kennedy from the scene of the crime to the courtroom, which never happened, but which means the chain of custody on the rifle, the bullets, the fingerprints, the autopsy that defies belief, and that if it were a murder, we'd have given to the poorest man dying in a gutter. Let us reinvestigate the fingerprints of intelligence all over Lee Harvey Oswald from 1959 to 1960, his violent death in 1963. And most importantly, this CIA, whose muddy footprints are all over this case, a true interrogation.
Yeah, so again, what bugs me the most about this, and again, this is just stupid for me being bugged about it, but I mean it in kind of a funny way, because this is, I guess, I don't know, it's not funny, but this is how my mind works. A lot of people are looking at this like, oh, who did it? It wasn't obviously Lee Harvey Oswald. So anybody that like points a finger at somebody, whoever, is better off than pointing a finger at Lee Harvey Oswald. You with me so far, right? Anybody, right? Like the grassy knoll, yeah, that probably makes more sense than Lee Harvey, right? Or the driver, that makes sense for Lee Harvey Oswald. CIA, that makes sense more than Lee Harvey Oswald. They had to have known about it, right? Like Jack Ruby, for crying out loud. I mean, that would make more sense, even though I'd never heard that. Obviously he did what he did. So a lot of people would be like, yeah, but my point is, and what's annoying to me, is all these guys were involved. All of them. This is not the CIA. This is not the Mossad. Or this is not the criminal organization, the mafia. This is all of them. It's the deep state. It's they. That's what that means. When people say, what's they? Well, it's CIA, Mossad, the NSA, how much time do you have? Like, you sit down for a second while you're waiting. Let me tell you a story. It's not one thing. Stop making it so simple. This was not one thing. There was dozens and dozens of things, most of which have been destroyed. There's no smoking gun. I'm not trying to be a dick. There's just not. Trust me, this stuff was destroyed. The second an FBI agent ever came across it, it was destroyed. Period. That's what you do with stuff. You don't just hang on to it and hide it. No, you destroy it. Period. Then there's never a problem. I learned that on The Rock. Remember the guidance chips? If you guys remember that, you had to destroy them. Those things Sean Connery taught, because they all of a sudden had a person up top that was going to get threatened to get shot if he didn't give the guidance chips. And Nicolas Cage was looking at him like, oh my God, I got to give these back. And that's when Sean Connery took them from him, put them on the ground and smashed them. That's what you got to do. That's what you do. You don't hang on to shit. So more witnesses testify before Congress. These 3 deceased CIA agents were complicit in the assassination. Again, proof that it was the CIA. Yes, no shit. Of course the CIA was involved, but it was not the CIA that did this. Stop making it so simple. Y'all are too simple in your thinking. Expand your thinking. It's part of the ascension. We have to. Things are much, much larger than they appear.
Declassified passage showed that Angleton had lied under oath about his surveillance of Oswald's correspondence while he lived in the Soviet Union from 1959 to 1962. And that, for me, was a tipping point. The transcript, which the CIA withheld from public view for half a century, confirmed a disturbing fact. James Angleton is the 3rd senior CIA officer known to have lied under oath about what they knew about the alleged assassin Oswald before JFK was killed. The first was Deputy Director Richard Helms. He lied to the Warren Commission in May 1964 when he said under oath the CIA had only, quote, minimal information about Oswald before JFK was killed. 198 pages of information cannot be truthfully described as minimal.
Oswald was a patsy. CIA is a patsy. Mossad's a patsy. Or these are the people that were used to pull off this crazy thing. They shot a president dead in front of the entire world. Insane. President Donald Trump's going to meet with President J.D. Vance and others today, Wednesday, to discuss an offer for TikTok. Again, I'm curious to see what happens with this. A bunch of offers have been made. I've kind of not gotten into each and every single one of them, frankly, because I don't post on TikTok, so I don't give a shit about TikTok at all, in zero capacity. But I am kind of curious to see what happens with the quote-unquote sale. Does China actually relent? If they do, they're, one, getting rid of their algorithm so they no longer control it, which would be cool in my mind. That's fine. And bring TikTok here, and it's just another platform that everyone gets to use. And they'll maybe use it in a good way. Or does China insist that it wants to maintain that control? In which case, it'll probably allow people to log in with a VPN. If that's what you want to do, you'll probably still be able to post. But, they would basically have to ban it in this country, which I don't like the idea of banning software. So, I'm curious to see how this one plays out. I don't care because I don't use the app, so it's not a concern to me, but I know it is to a lot of people, and I know it affects us in a bad way, probably. I think we're giving information that we shouldn't be to China, but I know in the big picture we were going to win anyway, so there's just battles I don't care to fight, frankly. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta signs a multi-year deal with the UFC to be the first official fan technology partner. It's actually kind of a brilliant idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. Zuckerberg loves it. It's going to get him invited to a bunch of shows. I'm sure that was part of it. And then, two, it's going to be popular. People will dig it. And he's kind of siding with the good guys, in my opinion. Although our bad guys would consider us bad guys, so obviously it depends who you ask. But I think we're starting to shine through to most people. Very sad news. He was in bad health. We obviously know that, but he finally passed away. Mr. Top Gun himself, Iceman. It's the way he flies. Ice cold. No mistakes. Yeah, Val Kilmer. Good guy, man. He did Batman Forever. Did actually a few different movies that were reasonably good. He was supposedly a very difficult actor to get along with in Hollywood. Kind of tough to work with. Got him kind of shafted in the big picture. But, he was in Tombstone too. Oh, he did such a good Doc Holliday, didn't he? Right? Wasn't that like an excellent... His Doc Holliday was so good. I'll be your Huckleberry. He did so good in that. Top Gun again, Iceman. I kind of, he was kind of a dick, but he was awesome. You liked him and hated him at the same time. And Batman Forever, I thought he did a reasonably good job on Batman. I don't know. Batman's been in a lot of people's hands. I even like Michael Keaton's version of it, so whatever. I think I'm probably a little easy when it comes to my judgment of I am Batman. All said. Very sad. Very sad. And then finally, World Autism Awareness Day 2025. I don't know. I don't feel bad to put this. I feel bad, I guess, putting this at the end, but That doesn't seem like a good place to put it. This ties to a lot of things, obviously. I don't want to get into all of that. I know people that have autistic children. I certainly know autistic people. It's sad. And these people, some would say, are actually more aware, and I've frequently wondered that. I actually almost think they're almost more awakened than us and just have a hard time kind of dealing with us being as slow as we are, because we really are. It's a frustration that you can only see once you get to that place where you're sort of sped up to the right frequency and you look at everybody else and the things they're dealing with, and it's weird. Priorities are a very strange thing. And I realized I think we're all going to make it through this. However, we're going to make it through. Maybe not all. I don't know. I don't know how. I wonder if maybe the number's not as big that I thought was going to make it through. But I think there's different levels of graduation, and I think that's what's been confusing for me, because I'll be doing this awesome show tomorrow, Law of One. You should check it out, live at 3 o'clock Pacific time, 6 o'clock Central, or 6 o'clock Eastern, sorry. 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. But the idea that we are going to walk through this, and there's people that are going to graduate from third density to fourth, and this will make sense throughout a lot of the Law of One stuff. But there's a third to fourth density graduation. There's a fourth to fifth density graduation. So there's a lot of people that have come here to kind of work out those key parts and are here to see if they can graduate into the fifth density, which is fantastic. There's people graduating fifth to sixth density. And I don't know. I wonder. I still kind of wonder if there's how many of us are just from the sixth density, and if there is a seventh. I don't feel like I'm ready to seventh density leap. I don't even quite understand the seventh density, so I assume I can't possibly be anywhere near it. But I get the sixth really well, and I think that's why I'm here. So I think there's a lot of people that are coming at this from a lot of different angles and levels, if you will, and I think that sometimes makes it hard for me. So I don't know. Like I said, this is in relation to some of the crap I said yesterday. Hopefully it helps. I don't know. What I got to say is we got a lot going on. A lot of us are going to kind of evolve through this. Teacher of teachers is what I frequently said, and you guys all fall into that. So it's a beautiful thing. And thank you just for putting up with me. But we're going to keep it up, keep talking to you guys, kind of keep helping as much as I can, and doing it through a news format and some other fun formats for as long as I can, and we'll evolve as we need to. But I love you guys, and I hope you know that I'm going to continue to fight with you, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, as we make our way through this wonderful little maze of crazy. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.